1, 2, 3. 3 count 4.
Hello, I am Be Better Gamer. Welcome to Be Better Gamer Wrestling. This channel is dedicated to wrestling video games fueled by my love, passion, and obsession for them. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am bringing you WWF No Mercy. It is part of the legendary series of CAW developed wrestling games for the N64, my favorite series of wrestling games, probably my second favorite game of the series. And I am following up my previous call on WrestleMania 2000, another CAW game, of Owen Hart in WWF No Mercy. So this is my Owen Hart call. There I made Bret Hart. That was the last, well, that wasn't the last No Mercy call I made. I made Nakamura, but I made a Bret Hart call. Now we have Owen Hart, and I got 4 different outfits for you, quite different from WrestleMania 2000. Right off the bat, appearance wise, I'm using a different upper body, different ring attire, different face, different hair. So yeah, and I'll explain why I made those changes. But profile, moves, fighting style, parameter, all that stuff you can find in the description below. I have it all typed out in a Google spreadsheet, so you can get the link for that down below. But yeah, let's just get started on the appearance. Body medium 2, going with the second skin tone. That doesn't change. For a junior heavyweight, you know, Owen Hart always had kind of a stockier frame. Head 3, male 31, or face 31 I should say, different face from WrestleMania 2000. Obviously the faces are quite different. So hair middle 3, you could also go with middle 1. The problem with middle hair in this game is that it always looks like long hair. Front hair 12, which is pretty similar to WrestleMania 2000, although there were other few front hair types that I was debating on using. Crash 2 is his ring attire. I went with the regular pink as opposed to light pink like I did with Bret Hart, because I kind of wanted to make him stand out from my Bret Hart call. Like if they were in a match together, I didn't want them to have just the same color combination. And for upper body, I went with original 2, which is similar to Bret Hart. You can also go with the D'Lo Brown, which is just a basic tank top with the outline. Or you could do X-Pac like I did also in WrestleMania 2000. But the X-Pac shirt, the logo doesn't quite stand out as much as it does in WrestleMania 2000. And it also looks too much like an X, whereas in WrestleMania 2000 it had the border around the X. So if you darkened it, you could just have this sort of like pink outline, which looked good. Knee pad 2. You can also go with supporter 1. There's a lot of different ways to do this call, and that's why with these calls I want to show you all the different options you could choose, because again, there's no perfect way to make these wrestlers. It's all really your own personal preference and your own interpretation. But there you go, boots, black and white, and you also can, for entrance attire, do a leather jacket if you want. But there you go, that's my Owen Hart. That's how I decided to make him. Here's more of his classic Owen Hart. I went with the D'Lo Brown upper body here, the tank top, and I also went with pink knee pads. See, and this is why I chose knee pad 2, because you get the black outline, which is more similar to the knee pads he wore in WrestleMania 2000. They don't really have a good knee pad like that. They have something sort of similar, but I think the one in No Mercy looks a little bit better. This outfit is based on his black and yellow Danger outfit, his Caution outfit, which is actually my favorite outfit of Owen Hart besides his old school, you know, 90s outfit. I loved when he wore the black and yellow. I thought it was a really cool look for him, and you know, it was. I mean, I understood why he went away from it, because he rejoined with the Hart Foundation, and then after that, everything that went down with the screw job, his outfit started changing. But I always loved the yellow and black outfit. The final outfit is based off of his SummerSlam 94 match with Bret Hart, Steel Cage, WWF Championship, one of my favorite matches of all time. I talked about it at length in the WrestleMania 2000 call of Owen Hart, but it's basically all you do is elbow pads, wrist pads, and I actually changed from original 2 when I was making the video. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the D'Lo as well, because again, he had less of a symbol on his tank top back in the day that he did later on. So that's what the original 2 upper body is for his later on, you know, like, you know, second incarnation of the Hart Foundation outfit. But there you go. That's Owen Hart in WWF No Mercy. A lot of the moves are the same. I did change some moves, but let me know what you think in the comments below. You know what to do. You've been on YouTube before. Again, it's not the best way to make Owen Hart. It's not the perfect way to make Owen Hart. It's just my interpretation. Let me know how you made Owen Hart, or if you take this call, what changes you want to make to it, what things you would do differently. Let me know. I always love hearing about that. Again, we're all having fun. It's all just, you know, personal interpretation, and there's a great mod community out there that can put Owen Hart in the game because they've done mods where they've scanned the face and they can put the actual textures for his actual outfits, and you can have all his different logos, King of Hearts, Black Hearts, I just broke your neck, you know, 2 times slam you, all his, you know, fun outfits he used to have. It's all out there. But I'm going to do a match like I do with all my calls. I like to do a match afterwards to talk about the call a little bit more, to talk about the context of what was going on. And if Owen Hart, obviously we all know, I mean, if you don't know, Owen Hart tragically died at the Over the Edge pay-per-view May 23rd, 1999. And this is why he wasn't included in WrestleMania 2000. He would have been in WrestleMania 2000, but they pulled him out of the game because of everything that went on immediately after the accident happened at the pay-per-view. Martha Hart, Owen's widow, and the Hart family sued WWE, so there was a lawsuit there. I'm guessing that's the main reason why Owen Hart was included. You also had sort of a similar situation, well, not a completely similar situation, but because of a lawsuit with Ric Flair and WCW, that's why we didn't get Ric Flair and WCW NW Revenge. But Owen Hart hasn't been featured in the WWE game since then. The last video game Owen Hart was in was the Legends of Wrestling game, and that wasn't even a WWE game. The last WWE game I believe that Owen Hart was in was WWF Raw. I think that was the last time we saw Owen Hart in a video game, way back on the Genesis and Super Nintendo. If there was another game after that, please let me know, but I think that was the last time we saw Owen Hart in a game. And Legends of Wrestling 1 and 2, they weren't great games, but they had a lot of classic wrestlers who never really made appearances in WWE games also. And it's unfortunate because it's so cool. There's so many wrestlers in that game. Like Dynamite Kid is in it. I made a Dynamite Kid call recently, but it's not a great game. So, you know, check it out for the roster, but don't stick around for the gameplay because No Mercy it ain't. But there we go. Jump, spinning back heel kick. Now this in WrestleMania 2000, I did a spinning wheel kick, but this spinning wheel kick is a lot closer to what Owen Hart used to do, so I chose this one instead of the one I used in WrestleMania 2000. Again, there's a lot of little subtle differences. I gave him a different version of a power slam that I felt looked more like a power slam he did than in WrestleMania 2000, where it's just a standard power slam. A few changes like that. Obviously, like Bret Hart, you have to make the sharpshooter as a special for the leg submission. Here I give him the figure 4 leg lock, just like Bret Hart, because Owen Hart would bust the figure 4 leg lock every now and then. The one thing I think about when making Owen Hart for these games, for WrestleMania 2000, for No Mercy, you know, I talked about in WrestleMania 2000 video about my love for the feud between Owen Hart and Bret Hart, and how Owen Hart was one of my favorite wrestlers at that time, and along with Bret Hart really influenced the type of wrestling I would like. Obviously I would fall in love with a lot of the wrestling that would go on in Japan and stuff like that, but Owen Hart was doing a lot of those things also because he was himself influenced by his time in Japan with what all the junior heavyweights were doing there at that time. I don't think many people know, but Owen Hart actually held the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship very briefly in New Japan in the late 80s. So Owen Hart definitely had that style of wrestling that I think you can look at today, and everyone who wrestles today in modern WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, they all have that sort of mixture between heavyweight and junior heavyweight. The line isn't as defined as it used to be back in the 90s, where, you know, your tall guys were heavyweights. You would never see someone who's 6'5" do a moonsault. Now, that's like, if you don't do a moonsault and you're 6'5", like, what are you doing? You have to be a larger-than-life character, like maybe a Braun Strowman or a Brock Lesnar, to get away with not doing that. But even the bigger wrestlers are more athletic these days. But I think Owen Hart even though he was a little bit on the smaller side, he still, you know, Bret Hart would become world champion. Shawn Michaels would become world champion. Later on, in a few more years, we would get Chris Jericho as the, first combined champion, the undisputed champion. I almost forgot the name of it right there. But I think about that. I think about if Owen Hart didn't die, not just, you know, how great that would be for the Hart family, that they wouldn't have to suffer through that tragedy, but you know, I chose Shawn Michaels specifically for this match because Shawn Michaels is a perfect example of the longevity the longevity you can have in wrestling. Even with someone like Shawn Michaels who had multiple back surgeries, he didn't retire until 2010, and he was the same age as Owen Hart. So when Owen Hart died, he was 34 years old, and if he would have not died, if he would have lived, if that accident never had happened, let's just compare Shawn Michaels' career to what could have been Owen Hart's career. They could have had the same length, and we would have seen Owen Hart stay probably with WWE, because he did re-sign with WWE even after the Montreal Screwjob. He still had an extended contract with them, and let's just say he did stay with them even further, because then WCW would close out. There would be nowhere else to go, so he would stay with WWE. We would have had 9 to 10 more years of Owen Hart. We would have had him in WWF No Mercy. We would have seen him face Kurt Angle, The Rock in his prime, and Owen Hart and The Rock. Obviously, there was history there with the Nation, and a lot of the angles that happened with the Nation feuding with DX. But we would have seen Owen Hart maybe have another feud with Stone Cold, as big as he was, because Owen Hart obviously infamously injured Stone Cold with that botched inverted pile driver. But there was so much history there. I think Owen Hart would have been a great connection to pre-Attitude Era WWE and early Attitude Era WWE, and he could have maintained that through line all the way through when you had people like Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, so many people coming up. Kurt Angle, did I say Kurt Angle already? So many people coming up, and I just think about what could have been. So much could have changed. I think WWE would have been a completely different product just based off of Owen Hart being around. I really do. I think about that thing just like how I think of like what wrestling would look like today with Eddie Guerrero. I think about that with Owen Hart. So that was really the main reason why I wanted to make him, because it's a big what if. What would have happened, you know, if Owen Hart stayed around? Maybe we would have gotten Owen Hart as Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania in another great, amazing WrestleMania match from Mr. WrestleMania himself, and from the King of Hearts, the true King of Hearts, Owen Hart. But that's it. That's all. I hope you like this video. I hope you like the call. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite memories of Owen Hart was, and you know, any other what if moments that could have been if Owen Hart was still with us today. But thank you for watching. You've been on YouTube before. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I am Be Better Gamer. Keep watching all the wrestling.